Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of the Uninformed Car Designer, where today we are finally having a look at the Maserati MC-20, a car that has been really long overdue and really anticipated since its tease earlier this year, and one that I really hoped restored Maserati to its former glory at the top of the food chain in terms of Italian supercars or sports cars. It's been a long time since we've seen something like this from Maserati, the Gran Turismo being the last proper sports car that they've released, and since then they've been working with the Ghibli, the Quattroporte and the Vento, all cars that are, I guess, fine, but you know, it's not what Maserati is known for, in my opinion, and they've kind of lost touch of who they were. So I was really hoping that this MC-20 would be a return to what it once was, and stick to the big dogs likes of Ferrari and Lamborghini. I guess Maserati for me has always been about flair, flamboyancy, and presence and theatre. And in some ways, this car delivers that, and in others, it falls very short. But we'll talk about the pros first, which there are many. So here we are, a car that is absolutely beautiful. There is no other way to say it. There's no way around it. It's a car that has been sculpted and designed to its perfection. The proportions on this thing are beautiful. It's got lovely stance. It's about 2 meters wide, so it looks stock. It looks fat with a PH. It looks hunkered down. It's got a nice weight on its rear end. Obviously, it's mid-engine now, so it's not something we've seen for quite a while from Maserati. So it's really nice to see that them working with this sort of platform and getting this sort of form and dynamic shape out of it. Like I say, the surface control and quality is crisp, it's clean, it's simple, and it's minimal, and it really doesn't do anything wrong. Klaus Bussi was talking about this being a strong departure from the philosophy of Maserati, and in some ways I can definitely see what he means by that. It's definitely a new direction in terms of platform. However, I see this more as a reimagining of what perhaps they wanted Maserati to be, and obviously for the longest time they were working with Ferrari and using Ferrari components, so there was probably an element of not wanting to tread on anyone's toes in terms of supercars. Obviously they couldn't really be seen to be beating biting the hand that feeds them, as it were, and kind of showing Ferrari up. So there was always that element of I guess holding back would probably be the best word in my opinion, and this was them really letting loose, really having the opportunity to do what they want. This car is, I think, 100% built in Modena, please correct me if I'm wrong there, and it's the first time, I think, for a long time that it's been a pure Italian supercar. So there's a lot riding on this, and it doesn't disappoint. Like I said, it's crisp, it's beautiful, everything is right about it. They talk about how the main surface, the white on this part of the vehicle, is all handcrafted, hand sculpted, man-made, very organic and subtle and soft, and it's paired with this really raw, dynamic, engineer-driven lower end, which is coupled and married very, very sweetly, in my opinion. I think it's too often now we are seeing cars that are going above and beyond in terms of active aero, air vents, just holes and splitters and and whatnot, and it can become very convoluted and very messy in terms of design, and it hides the silhouette and the overall form of a vehicle. Whereas Maserati have just gone for the very difficult approach of creating something that is simple from the get-go. Now, it's very hard to create simple and sleek lines and get away with it, and for it to be successful, because there's no hiding anything. If a surface is wrong or a proportion is out ever so slightly, there is no flair, there's no extra add-ons that can kind of disguise that, and they've done a great job at keeping this form, in my opinion, almost perfect. However, it does lack that panache, that flair, that something, that Italian I don't know the word for it, but it's very subdued and very safe. The word timeless gets thrown around quite a lot. I know this was described as timeless. I don't actually see this vehicle being a timeless design. I think, unfortunately, it's probably a little bit late to the game and might be forgotten. I hope it isn't. I hope the performance really outweighs the way it looks. This is obviously a track-focused road car, apparently, even though I think we'll see a very much kind of roided up, extravagant version with all the bells and whistles on it at a later date. But in terms of design, I don't think this itself is timeless. I think the language that they're using could be, and they're setting themselves up for a very nice and positive looking future, and I look forward to seeing what they do with this design language on the Ghibli and the Quattroporte and so on, and anything else that they come out with in the future. So there is that for it. There's also a lot of DNA. Like I said, it's a stronger part. He said it's a stronger part from their philosophy, which I completely understand but disagree with. And I don't know whether you can disagree with something that the head designer says about their car, but there is a lot about the DNA, the Maserati's DNA that is still in this car. The front vents, for example, on this bonnet are taken from the Maserati MC-20. The triangular C-pillar, a really nice style on this vehicle. I think it really hunkers down and encloses that cockpit from a side view. That triangular C-pillar is again reminiscent of a lot of their concepts. Definitely the Maserati MC-20. You might have the Merak and the Bora. You can see the kind of the evolution, the graduation to that triangular C-pillar. And the Maserati birdcage, Close had said that the wheels took huge inspiration from, and they definitely did. A slight Trident effect in there as well, but the triple kind of pentagon, is it pentagon? I've got 5 sides, pentagon rims. It's 5. I was just kidding, there wasn't 6. Rims taken straight from the birdcage. However, what surprises me most is, and I'm kind of discovering this at the same time as you are, if it's the first time you're seeing this, in doing my research and having a look at kind of back at those cars that they referred to, if I put the Maserati birdcage and this side by side, there is no difference. It is the exact same car. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. The birdcage was an incredible concept way back when it was released, and to this day it's still one of my favourite concepts. It's not the prettiest, obviously. Proportions are a bit unusual and kind of the form, but this is essentially just a compact, squished together birdcage with the lower bodywork and form being exactly the same. The rake on the rear and front bumpers, kind of the white body coloured splines being almost identical. And I think this is probably the key problem for me why the car doesn't look new or refreshing. It's because it is based on a platform that is probably about 10 to 15 years old. And it's, again, it's not a bad thing, but it's not going to be a recipe for modernisation or something groundbreaking in terms of design. It very much is going to be something we've seen before, and I think that's why it looks so familiar. Again, overall features, I love the two-tone effect that most cars are going for now. So you've got after the dark body, the light middle colour, or the coloured main body areas, and a dark roof. I think it breaks up nicely. If this car was completely white and you couldn't see the differentiation between the black splitters and all the engineered components on the lower half, it would probably look quite heavy. So the weight is quite distributed really nicely actually over this vehicle, which is always done very well. As again said, the features, everything lines up really sweetly. The C-pillar with the front air outlet behind the front wheel, the kind of like detailing again where the two body parts meet are nice and continuous through the vehicle with a gradual incline. I do like the rear three-quarter. The rear three-quarter for me is my favourite part. The headlights, I think, are even though they're really simple and minimal, they do a really nice job of accentuating and widening the rear end, exaggerating that. It's really nice to see the engineered components kind of taking over with the splitter on that business end of the vehicle, as Klaus Busey puts it, kind of exaggerating the important part of this vehicle, as it were. The detailing of the Trident is really nice in the rear kind of Lexan area above the engine for the cooling. It's nice to see the triple air vents again, this time moved to the rear panel, again either side of the engine bay, rather than typically on the front fender that you've seen on the front engined vehicles. And the little ducktail or dovetail spoiler, it just kind of gives a nice little bit of weight to that rear end again. So like I said, there is nothing this car does wrong. It is a perfect example of proportion and styling and surface control, but it doesn't set your world on fire, and this is where the cons come, and it's a very weird one, unfortunately. Like I said, there's nothing to kind of say that's wrong about it. It's just, it doesn't do anything special. It's very very safe, very simple, very slightly mundane in some ways, and it is 2 years late. If this is competitive for the McLaren 570, then maybe, but if this is a track focused car and this is kind of the top of the range, they're not going to do anything if they don't do anything else in terms of track derivatives. Then, you know, you go for a 600 LT any day over this. In my opinion, it's got flair, it's got style, it's got attitude and personality, where again, it's just a little too late. I would have released it with the electric engine. I think people would have probably embraced it a little bit more in terms of the simplicity. Would have made a bit more sense, you know, clean surfacing, clean energy. That's how I look at electric vehicles. So I really feel a bit let down, in all honesty. But overall, it's nice to see Maserati back in the game after all this time out. So hopefully this vehicle does well, gives them an incentive to keep going and keep producing more cars like this, because I don't want them to kind of fall flat on their face with this and then go, all right, stuff it, we won't do anything else, we'll stick to our Ghibli and Quattroporte. I don't want that to happen. I want to see more of Maserati in the game. But that's just one man's opinion. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like, consider subscribing, and if you didn't, you're welcome to leave a thumbs down, but let me know what you thought. Let me know why you didn't like it and what you think about this car and Maserati going forward. I'd really look forward to hearing from you down in the comment section below. So yeah, once again, thank you ever so much for joining me. It's been a real pleasure. Take care and see you again soon. Bye.